Imagine a house with no master plan. A house where the hammers never stopped ringing for 38 years. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Weekends, holidays, it did not matter. The building never stopped. Imagine walking down a hallway, opening a door, and finding a sheer drop into the garden below. Imagine climbing a staircase that ends abruptly at the ceiling. Imagine opening a cabinet only to find it goes back half an inch. Imagine windows built into the floor. This is not a nightmare. This is a real place in San Jose, California. It has 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, and 40 staircases. But this house was not built for the living. It was built as an asylum for the dead. This is the true story of the Winchester Mystery House. The story of a woman who inherited an empire of blood and spent the rest of her life trying to outrun the ghosts she believed she had created. To understand the house, you have to understand the blood money that built it. We have to go back to the 1800s, the era of the American Civil War and the expansion into the Wild West. Oliver Winchester was a businessman who manufactured a weapon that would change history. The Winchester repeating rifle. It was known as the gun that won the West. It was fast, it was deadly, and it was used by soldiers, cowboys, and outlaws alike. The rifle brought the Winchester family a level of wealth that is hard to comprehend. They became one of the richest families in the world, but that money came with a heavy price. Every dollar was stained with the blood of the thousands of Native Americans, soldiers, and civilians who were killed by their invention. Oliver Winchester's son, William Wirt Winchester, married a beautiful, intelligent young woman named Sarah Pardee. Sarah was the belle of New Haven, Connecticut. She spoke 4 languages, played the piano beautifully, and was deeply in love with William. For a brief moment, they had everything: wealth, status, and love. In 1866, Sarah gave birth to their daughter, Annie. It should have been the happiest time of their lives. But the Winchester curse had begun. Little Annie contracted a mysterious illness known as marasmus. Her body simply stopped absorbing nutrients. She wasted away and died when she was just 40 days old. Sarah was completely shattered. She withdrew into herself, hovering on the edge of madness for nearly a decade. Just as she was finally beginning to recover, tragedy struck again. Her father-in-law, Oliver Winchester, died in 1880. And then, a few months later, the unthinkable happened. Her beloved husband, William, contracted tuberculosis and died suddenly in 1881. Overnight, Sarah Winchester lost her entire family, but she gained something else. She inherited $20 million. In today's money, that is over $500 million. She also received an income of $1,000 a day, every single day, for the rest of her life. Tax-free But all the money in the world could not stop the grief or the fear that Sarah was convinced that her family was cursed. She believed that the sudden deaths of her daughter and husband were not natural. She sought the help of a spiritualist medium in Boston to find answers. The medium went into a trance and delivered a message that would seal Sarah's fate forever. The medium told her that her husband was present in the room. He was telling her that there was a curse on the Winchester family. The terrible weapon they had created had taken the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Now, the spirits of the dead, the soldiers, the Native Americans, the innocent victims were seeking revenge. They had taken her daughter. They had taken her husband. And now they were coming for her. But the medium offered a solution, a bizarre, impossible solution. Sarah had to leave her home in Connecticut. She had to travel west toward the setting sun. She had to find a new home and start building a house for herself and the spirits who had fallen from the terrible weapon. And then came the most chilling instruction of all. You must never stop building. If you continue building, you will live. Stop, and you will die. Sarah Winchester believed the medium with every fiber of her being. She packed her bags, left the East Coast behind, and traveled to California. In 1884, she found a small, unfinished farmhouse in the Santa Clara Valley. She bought the house and the land around it, and she hired a team of carpenters. She told them to start building, and she told them they would never stop. For the next 38 years, the sound of hammers and saws echoed across the valley. The construction workers worked in shifts, day and night, rain or shine. The building never ceased. Sarah did not hire an architect. She was the architect. She would meet with her foreman every morning and hand him hand-drawn sketches on pieces of scrap paper or napkins. Sometimes she would have a room built, then immediately order it to be torn down and rebuilt the next day. The house began to grow like a living, breathing organism. It expanded outward and upward. It grew into a sprawling, chaotic mansion of Victorian architecture. But the layout made absolutely no sense, because Sarah was not building a house for human comfort. She was building a maze, a puzzle designed to confuse the evil spirits that were hunting her. She believed that the ghosts of those killed by the Winchester rifle were tracking her. If they found her, they would kill her. So, she designed the house to trap them. Imagine walking through the house today. You will find a staircase that leads up to the ceiling and just stops. You will find a door that opens to a blank wall. You will find another door on the second floor that opens to the outside, offering a sheer drop into the bushes below. If you step through it, you will break your neck. There are cabinets that are less than an inch deep. There are trapdoors. There are secret passageways. There is the famous switchback staircase. It has 7 flights 644 steps, but it only rises 9 feet. The steps are incredibly short, only 2 inches high. Some say this was because Sarah suffered from severe arthritis in her later years and could not lift her legs high enough for normal stairs. But the legend says it was designed to slow down the spirits who could only move in straight lines. Sarah also had an obsession with the number 13. Almost every window in the house has 13 panes of glass. There are 13 bathrooms. Many of the wooden floors have 13 sections. The greenhouses have 13 cupolas. Even the drains in the sinks have 13 holes. She also incorporated spiderweb motifs everywhere. Spiderweb, stained glass, windows, spiderweb patterns in the woodwork. In spiritualism, spiderwebs were believed to catch evil spirits, just like a real web catches a fly. But the most terrifying room in the entire mansion is located in the very center of the house. It is called the Seance Room. It has only 1 entrance, but 3 exits. It is a tiny, dark room. Every single night at midnight, the bell in the tower would ring. This was the signal. Sarah would walk alone through the dark, twisting corridors of her labyrinth. She would enter the seance room and lock the door. She would sit there in the pitch black for 2 hours. She was not hiding, she was communicating. Workers claimed that they could hear her playing her grand piano in the middle of the night. But she was not alone. They would hear her talking to people who were not there. They would hear multiple voices responding. She believed she was talking to the good spirits. She asked them for guidance on how to build the house to keep the bad spirits away. At 2 in the morning, the bell would ring again, signaling the end of the seance. Sarah would emerge with new blueprints for the next day's construction. The workers were terrified, but they were paid very well. Sarah paid them $3 a day, which was double the standard wage at the time. She was actually a very kind employer. She built homes for her staff. She paid for their medical bills. She was a generous woman, trapped in a prison of her own making. But the house was not just strange. It was haunted. Even while Sarah was alive, workers reported seeing things they could not explain. They would hear footsteps pacing the empty corridors above them. One of the most famous ghosts is known as the wheelbarrow ghost. Workers would often see a man in heavy overalls pushing a wooden wheelbarrow full of coal down the basement hallways. When they called out to him, he would simply vanish into the brick walls. Another terrifying encounter happened to a painter. He was painting a room when he felt someone watching him. He turned around and saw a man standing in the doorway. The man was dressed in a Civil War uniform, holding a Winchester rifle. The soldier stared at him with empty eyes, then slowly faded into nothing. Sarah herself was constantly afraid. She slept in a different bedroom every single night, so the evil spirits could not track her routine. She would wander the secret passageways, spying on her workers to make sure they were not slowing down. Then, in 1906, the earth shook. The Great San Francisco earthquake struck with devastating force. The Winchester house was badly damaged. The top 3 floors of the 7-story observation tower collapsed. Sarah was asleep in the Daisy bedroom when the quake hit. The shifting house jammed her door, trapping her inside. She was terrified. She was convinced that the evil spirits had finally found her and were trying to tear the house down to get to her. It took the workers hours to pry the door open and rescue her. When she finally got out, she looked at the rubble of her massive mansion, but she did not rebuild the fallen tower. Instead, she believed the earthquake was a warning from the spirits. She thought she had spent too much money decorating the front of the house, and not enough time building new, confusing rooms for the ghosts. So, she ordered the workers to board up the entire front half of the mansion. The beautiful front doors were sealed. The grand ballroom, which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to build and was completely untouched by the earthquake, was locked away. It was never used again. She simply moved to the back of the house and kept building. As Sarah grew older, her arthritis crippled her. She could barely walk. She became a prisoner in her own massive asylum. She rarely saw anyone other than her servants and the builders. She covered her face with a dark veil whenever she went into the garden. For 38 years, the hammering never stopped. Millions of dollars were poured into the wood and glass and nails, until one night in September of 1922. She was 82 years old. Sometime in the early hours of the morning, her heart simply stopped beating. The next morning, the foreman arrived for his daily meeting, but there were no new blueprints. For the first time in almost 4 decades, the hammers were put down. The saws were silenced. The great Winchester mystery house was finally quiet. When the executors of her will went through the house, they were stunned. The house was a massive, confusing maze. Movers got lost trying to carry out the furniture. They had to use maps just to find their way back to the front door. They found rooms filled with rare treasures. They found a safe hidden behind a wall. When they forced it open, they expected to find millions in gold. Instead, they found locks of hair from her dead husband and baby daughter, and their obituaries clipped from the newspaper. That was her real treasure. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is a tourist attraction. Millions of people have walked through its bizarre halls, but the haunting has not stopped. Tour guides and visitors regularly report terrifying experiences. People hear their names whispered in the empty hallways. Doorknobs turn by themselves. Cold spots appear in rooms with no drafts. Some people say they have seen the ghost of Sarah Winchester herself, a small woman in a black dress, still wandering the halls still trying to hide from the spirits that destroyed her family. Psychologists look at the Winchester house and see a tragic story of a woman suffering from severe trauma and paranoia. They see a mind broken by grief, trying to manifest her chaotic emotions into physical architecture. But believers look at the house and see something else. They see a monument to guilt, a physical representation of the blood spilled by American greed. Whether you believe in ghosts or you believe in madness, the Winchester Mystery House forces you to think. What would you do if you had unlimited money but unlimited guilt? How far would you go to protect yourself from the things you cannot see? Sarah Winchester built a house to trap the dead. But in the end, the only person she truly trapped was herself. Thank you for watching. I want to know what you think about this bizarre piece of history. Was Sarah Winchester a grieving widow driven mad by loss? Or was she truly being hunted by the ghosts of the Winchester rifle? Let me know in the comments below. And the next time you hear a creak in your house at night, just be glad your staircase actually leads somewhere. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next mystery.